Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
From the least infected city in America, it's the Ramble with me, Alex Bennett. We'll be here until midnight this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, our old friend Bobby Slayton is with us, and I can't tell you what a pleasure it is, Bobby. You know?
Yeah, let's do this quick. I want to get back out to my pool. We have a...
You're so LA. You're so LA. I have to get out to my pool.
I've always been so LA. I mean, look, I'm Miss New York with a passion, and it kills me because right after the COVID thing started in May, you know, my girlfriend and I, for the last 4 years, have gone back to New York every May, and we eat and drink our way through New York City. I drink more than her. She eats, I drink. We're a good team.
Okay.
But, you know, I took her to the Bronx, to Arthur Avenue, which she'd never been to, the Marriott's. By the way, the owner just passed away from COVID, and I'm very sad. But we went there last year for my birthday, and I took her to botanical gardens because she loves plants. You know, when I was born in the Bronx, grew up in Westchester, but I grew up, well, till I was 4 or 5, right across the street from the botanical gardens. So it's something she needed to see. Have you ever been there, by the way, being a New Yorker? Have you ever been to the botanical gardens?
The Brooklyn Botanical Gardens?
No, the Bronx one, the big one, the good one.
The Bronx, okay. I've been to the one in Brooklyn.
It's amazing to me. The Bronx, it's right next to the Bronx Zoo. And it's a 5-minute walk to Arthur Avenue, the real Little Italy before Little Italy, you know, in Lower Manhattan was established. But, you know, and there's still traces of, you know, some old Italians are still there. The neighbor's more Armenian and maybe Puerto Rican, whatever. But there's still a lot of the old restaurants that when I was a kid, my father would take me to. And it was just, it's great. Anyway, so we did that last May. And we wanted to go again this May, but we couldn't do it. But just to walk around New York, which to me, I mean, look, besides the COVID thing, New York's not the same city it was 20, 30 years ago. There's a great book out I just finished. It's so depressing, called Vanishing New York. You know, between that piece of shit Bloomberg and Giuliani, how they really helped bring down. Koch also, I mean, it didn't start with them. But, you know, Bloomberg, you know, making everything so sterile and getting rid of the old newsstands and putting those metal, bomb shelters.
You know something? You're saying something that touches deeply to my heart.
Kills me.
I loved New York when it was a little bit on the dirty side. You know?
Oh, well, Times Square, you're a little bit older than I am, so you remember, look, I remember going to Times Square. It was seedy in the 60s, but it was still, they still had the classic movie houses. You don't want to go down 42nd Street.
Do you remember Hubert's? Do you remember Hubert's Museum?
You know what? I walked by it once. I think it closed when I was about 12 or 13. And, growing up in Westchester, I would take the train down to Grand Central, and the first place I would go before I discovered the Village. I like the Village was like 8th Street to me with all those. I didn't really know McDougal Street, and I wasn't old enough to certainly go to the.
But you went to 42nd Street, right? Yeah, right.
But I went there to magic shops and fascination. I played the games and you wanted the masks and they had so many joke shops.
And Hubert's Museum was actually just a novelty store that in the window had literally, I saw this once, a display of dildos and knives.
Well, it's well, you know what? It reminds me. There's a store in Vegas that sells guns and guitars. But and not just down in dirty New York, but the New York I remember in like the late '60s when I was a kid. My parents would take me to a restaurant, and then we'd go see The Sound of Music or Magnificent Men of the Flying Machine, and see some big movie in a movie palace that was still there. And then they started showing second-run stuff, and then all of a sudden it was porn. But that's not the New York so much that I miss, but it's a New York that you walk down the street. The Village became so gentrified.
What it was.
It became so John Varvatos. The whole CBGB.
What it was, when I first lived here, which was in the 80s, I guess, wait a minute, excuse me, the 70s. I can't even remember anymore.
When I was growing up, wait. I was growing up listening to you on WMCA.
In the 70s.
I was 15, 16, early 70s.
Early 70s. I get all my times mixed up. But when I was here in the 70s, it was kind of like walking on the edge of a razor, New York City. There was a certain kind of seediness in the air, but at the same time, there was an excitement about it. You know, it was vital.
Well, you know what? It was just all and I just remember, all the luncheonettes on Madison Avenue. I'd skip school when I was 15 or 16, and we go down to the Village and buy hash pipes and rolling papers. And, it was the late 60s, early 70s. I was at the end. I wasn't really part of that whole hippie thing, but I got ripped off for trying to buy LSD by that big cube on 2nd Avenue by St. Mark's Place. And, but I just remember, I go down and different drummer and buy a fringed purple jacket with, the money I saved for a month. And Anyway, that New York is gone now.
Tell them about where we first met.
Well, it wasn't in front of Max's Kansas City.
Well, it was.
There years later.
It was.
No.
But that was the first time we met.
Oh, maybe that was the first time. No, you know what? I think I might have done. It was when I came down to you did your radio show. Your last show when you got fired. No. You were still on WMCA. Yeah. You were on WPLJ when I saw you in front of Max's. But when you were on WMCA radio.
Oh, really?
Okay, and a lot of people. Huh?
It's okay. So there was a time before that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think most people that listen to you now and watch you know all this stuff. But before Howard Stern was a fan, and Alan Burke was on television, and I was 15 or 16, was smoking dope, we'd listen to your show on MCA, and it was a cutting edge show. I remember when that Eldridge Cleaver on, when he was in Algeria, hiding out, and Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin were your friends, and they were hiding out.
Well, actually, who I had on was Tim Leary, who was staying with Eldridge Cleaver in wherever that was. Africa.
I got to open up for Timothy Leary once. And he couldn't follow me. He was at the other cafe. He was probably around.
He couldn't follow you, of course not.
He decided he wanted to do stand-up comedy, so everybody came to see Timothy Leary. It was a small club, and everybody wanted to see Timothy Leary. And Bob Ayers owned the club, said, "You want to open for Tim?" And then I think after the first show, I'm not sure if I had to. I did the same thing with Soupy Sales. Opened for Soupy, and then Soupy says, "I can't really follow you. How about if I go on to a half hour, you come on and close the show?" It was awkward.
But getting back to the New York thing. Getting back to the New York thing. You were at my show the last night I was on the air at WMCA.
I was growing up in New York, grown up in Westchester, and I'd call your show up, and I remember once saying, we talked about marijuana. I was starting to smoke pot. Your show was very cutting edge. I remember one time I hung up because I didn't have the answer. I said to you, "Alex, do you believe in revolution?" Because, hey, revolution and the yuppies and the yippies and the hippies. Yeah. And you said, a cultural revolution or a political revolution? And I had no idea what you're talking about now. I still don't know the difference. I might have to hang up. Sorry, I brought that up. Anyway, so I called you up, and WMCA was getting ready to let you go or for whatever reason. Yeah. And you're doing your last show. And I called you up. I said, "Listen, I'm writing a story for my high school newspaper about you. Can I come down and see your last show?" And you said, "Yes." You put on your producer, not Jimmy Walker, the engineer, the black guy, whatever, really nice guy. I forgot who, your producer. You put him on. And he said, "Would you like to come down to the last show?" And I came down with my friend Howard Glazer. We took the subway. We got stoned out of our minds. We sat in the audience. And it was just, there was no studio
sat in the back
of
the studio, yeah.
Back in the, it was just me and him. And we sat there for 3 or 4 hours. And I don't think you looked at us once and said, "How you doing?" It was your last day. You weren't very happy. So we waited for you afterwards to interview you. Waited about a half an hour. You came out, so okay, let's do the interview. And I said to you, "Well, we didn't really plan to do an interview. We just had to make up something so you would come let us watch your show, because we knew you wouldn't let us watch it unless we made up something." As an idiot, I probably should have interviewed you, and I should have put it in my school paper, but I wasn't that smart. I didn't even, Yeah, and then years later, I ran into you in front of Max's Kansas City. I was coming out of Max's. I think I went to see the New York Dolls. You were going to Max's. It was too late for me. I had to take the train back up to the suburb. 1, 2 in the morning. You're walking to Max's. You must have just finished your show at WPLJ, and you're walking by us. And I said, "Yeah, I think you were going to do your show, maybe."
Yeah, I'm going to do my show. My show was on at 2:00 in the morning.
Okay, you were on your way, maybe out of Max's. We were going to Max, whatever. Yeah. So we're walking by you. And I go, "Alex," and you swivel around, and you don't stop swiveling. You Spielberg go, yeah. I go, hey, can we come watch the show? You go, no. And Spielberg just kept walking. It was like a really smooth basketball move. You're like, fake this out. Turn around, new, and took off. Very smooth move.
Yeah.
Without missing a beat.
Yeah.
You swiveled, you answered, and you continued on your way.
As the years have gone on, you have not let me forget that. Now, the last time we were talking, you were mentioning that, Lenny Bruce and so on, and how would he play today and so on. And my friend Shecky always mentions to me every now and then, he says, remember something. There are people today who don't know who John Lennon was.
Well,
we tend to think that within our sphere of reference, who doesn't know who John Lennon was? Who doesn't know who the Beatles were? Yet there are people who are 30 years old who don't know who John Lennon was.
Well, that's why I don't give a shit about global warming or the end of the world. It doesn't make any difference to me because I'll be dead in 10, 20 years. And, fuck them. There's certain things you need to know. But there was that old joke, remember, that there were people who didn't know Paul McCartney was in a band before Wings. Now people don't know who Wings are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. No, but it bothers me, and I know I'm that old guy. Get off my lawn. But if you can't name the 4 Beatles, you should just die.
I was mentioning that the other day, that my big test for a woman in going out with her is I would ask her, name the 4 Beatles, and if she couldn't name all 4 of them, I didn't go out with her.
Well, yeah, it's like that scene from that guy in Diner when before he married her, she had to know all the music.
Yeah.
It's funny because my girlfriend's in her 50s, so she's a good 10 years younger than me, and she knows all this stuff. But at the same time, she's a big Beatles fan because her late husband managed some of their stuff, and but she didn't know who Graham Parker was. I didn't see Graham Parker, but she loves Springsteen and Elvis Costello. So it's nice to be able to turn somebody on. She had no idea who the New York Dolls were, and now not her favorite band. She sits in a car with Nora Jones and Amy Winehouse, which is terrific, but it's nice that she knows and likes a lot of the stuff that I like. But, I just don't like when people go, they were before my time. Fuck you, that guy in a dollar bill was way before my time.
Absolutely.
Modern Times and Charlie Chaplin was before my father's time.
When I was a kid, I was fascinated by everything that went on before I was born. Actors, actresses, music, and so on. I mean, my favorite record was my grandparents left me a bunch of 78s, and I have a 78 of a 1916 recording of Al Jolson singing Where Did Robinson Crusoe Go with Friday on Saturday Night?
Yeah. I used to have the sheet music to that. It's funny you mention Al Jolson because my father loved him and turned me out to Jolson, and I loved Jolson my whole life. And I still listen to him. I used to sing Rockabye Baby to my daughter, and then she heard Jerry Lewis do it. That guy had a lot of balls to not only to sing, but to do Rockabye Your Baby after Jolson, and Judy Garland did it. But the interesting thing is, I loved Jolson, and I loved all the music from that era.
So you enjoyed stuff that happened before you were born, and I, for instance, I love silent movies. I love silent movies.
I do too. I don't watch them as much as I should, but
you watch them properly projected with a good music to it and so on that was made specifically for that movie, and they're delight. You've just missed out on a whole area of movies you never knew existed.
I'm not sure. I'm afraid to take my iPad and show you this, but right in my hallway there's a beautiful, beautiful painting that I had commissioned of Buster Keaton.
Oh,
gorgeous.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Who I like better than Chaplin.
By the way, do you still have the creature?
No, yes, I'm the creature.
The creature.
I don't
want
to go to that story.
We'll go to that story some other time. But
of course,
I sent you $1,000 because you just had to have it for some reason or another, and then instead of using it to, I think, feed yourself, you went out and bought the creature.
Well, I did. I don't want to go into the whole story, but I did a gig. And like an idiot, I left like my whole week's pay at the time, $1,500 in my pocket to dance with this woman. Somebody went in my pocket, took the money, or maybe I dropped the money, but it was all the money I had. And I called you at 6 a.m. I needed about $1,000 to pay my rent, and I didn't pay. I wanted to pay my rent, but I borrowed it. I didn't pay you back. but I was driving by a store on Melrose Avenue and saw this magnificent, extremely rare creature from the Black Lagoon statue, 6 feet tall. It's from the 50s.
It was a stand-up they had in the theaters.
No, it was a rare. It was from Mexico. Nobody's sure where these came from.
No, but I think it was part of the promotion for theaters where they would take this stand-up of a real life-size creature and have him in the lobby like this.
But he didn't. Yeah, but he didn't look like the creature because he had fangs and his face was painted flesh-colored. So somebody thinks he was part of a chain of magic shops. I had a bunch of different things. Meanwhile, somebody got the mold and redid them over the years, and you can still find copies. But it's funny because he's in my office, and I keep thinking, if we have an earthquake here, or, there's always fires in L.A., my neighbor's not too prone to fires, but it could happen. So I have a box of all these videos of my daughter and family photos, and then I'm thinking, what am I going to grab and put in my car? And I'm looking around my office, a couple of things I have here, a couple of signed important pictures from movies I did. Maybe I'll grab those. And they go, the creature is the most important thing. There's no way I can pick that thing up and put it in my car. And I just thought of the creature perishing.
Yeah.
Was a horrible
That would be the first thing you'd grab.
If I can get him. I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
Too much shit. Whatever. Hopefully I won't have that problem.
I got so much crap in this place. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I can see a lot of it behind
you. Can see a lot of it. Hey, listen, we've kind of run out of time, but I would love to do this again, Bobby. I know you wouldn't, but I would love to.
Well, I have nothing to plug. I'm doing a few podcasts. People are calling me. I think they go on Facebook and ask every comic. So somebody answers them. And I told you this the other day. We want to talk to you about what you're doing during the pandemic and how you keep yourself busy. And I'm sick of talking about it. I play my drums. I go swimming right now. I'm going to make a marinade for my salmon. I'm going to go for a swim. I'm going to work out and bang my drums some more. That's the whole fucking day.
I'm going to, after this is over, I'm going to go bang my drum, but I'm not talking about music.
Oh, boy.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Boy, we're getting old together, aren't we?
Yeah. It's fine. I've actually never felt better, Yeah. Although it's funny because one day I wake up and I feel like I'm 70. The next day I wake up, I feel like I'm 30. But I work out. I have a younger girlfriend. I never thought a 57-year-old girlfriend would be. I'm dating a younger woman. That's when you know you're old.
Yeah.
You're calling a 57-year-old.
My wife is 5 years younger than I am.
Well, that's good.
And
that's a younger woman.
That's a younger woman. So we go for the young babes, right?
Tell her I said hello.
Hey, listen, stick around after we're through here. I just want to say goodbye to you. But anyway, that's Bobby Slayton. He's not playing anywhere, and he doesn't intend to. Okay?
No, don't intend to.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex Bennett.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And that's Bobby. I love Bobby. Who doesn't love Bobby? Anyway, I'm getting dizzy. I've been lightheaded lately. I don't understand it. I don't know. They say it might have something to do with the radiation that I had. That I have a certain fatigue. But anyway, I'm here. I'm doing my little program, and we invite you to call us using Zoom. If you don't know how to use Zoom, go over to my Facebook page, facebook.com/abennett, and then there's a little link there, or you can go over to gabnet.net, go over to the right-hand side of the page. There's a column there. In the middle of that column, it says click here if you want to go on to Zoom. And you can go on to Zoom, okay? I only have one person waiting for me in the waiting room right now. Let me see here. All he's got to do is click. There he is, joining. Okay, and I go here. I do this, and there we go. Oh, here comes some other people. Here comes Jeff Stein, and here comes Robert Natali. Hello, everybody. How are you this evening? Are you okay?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Yeah. How are you? Yeah. And it's another day in the neighborhood. I'm getting so sick. Can I tell you, I got a little depressed over the week. A little. What's new for me? A little depressed over the weekend. Just with this whole everything that's going on, is there any good news? Is there anything that I can go, that's wonderful. What a wonderful, wonderful thing, But no, everything is miserable. We got the COVID. We got the economy. We got what else we got? We got Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying. We got, I'm trying to think of all the hurricanes and the forest fires and on and on and on. And I'm going, if it isn't fun to do a show like this, it's because there's nothing fun to talk about. It's all kind of miserable. Yes, Brian. What? We can't hear you. Brian, are you there? Can we hear? Not getting any audio from you. You other guys are there, right? Charlie, can you hear me? No, wait a minute. Something has happened here. And I know what it is. I have the wrong thing up. Okay.
You have the wrong thing up.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah,
I beg your pardon, sir.
This is.
Adrian just left the room.
It's a good thing.
This is the kind of thing I say. Is that I'm sorry. I just, I had the wrong slider up. See, I'm getting that way now. That's what's happening to me.
Oh, you've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
Every time. Oh, I'm quitting. This stuff is terrible. I hate doing this stuff.
Well, no, it's just that I'm starting to I'm tired all the time. I have this sense of fatigue. It might be the radiation that I had earlier this year that's been causing it. But I just want to feel awake and alive. And I went out just to make sure that I have not been lacking. Sunday, I took a walk. I went out for my 2-mile walk, which went out to the Harlem Mere, which is a lake, and around the lake, and then back home. That's 2 miles. Then yesterday, I did a walk up to another park, which was about a mile or so. And then today, I did another one of my Harlem Mere walks. And you know what? I'm still tired.
How about the masks? Are you noticing more people with masks or the same?
Oh, listen, I got a picture today. I wish I had done something here.
Oh,
so
I saw it.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
2 cops on the street corner. They're always on that street corner. I don't know why they have cops on that street corner. There must be something going on there that they're protecting against or something. But they're not protecting against COVID because they're both standing there not wearing any masks. Now, has anybody told people that they should protect and serve by example?
Maybe they defunded the masks. They don't have any money for masks.
They probably don't have money for the masks. Right. I mean, I took a picture of it. When I came back, they were still standing there without the masks on. And I said, boy, that's not right. That's not good. Wear goddamn masks. Tell everybody else they should wear a mask. We are getting an uptick here in New York City in a couple of neighborhoods. Luckily, one of them is not Harlem, but over in Brooklyn, we got I forget the various. Let me see if I can find it here. People wouldn't know it even if I said it. Okay, so it doesn't seem to matter. Let me see.
Here's your cops.
Huh?
Your cops. Yeah.
Let me see here. I can't find.
Did those cops see you taking a picture of them?
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
No. I wish there were better lights so you could really see how bad it was.
Yeah, sort of in the shadow.
They weren't.
Probably would beat you up if they had.
What'd you say? What were you going to say, Robert?
They weren't exactly the most athletic looking dudes either.
Oh no. Well, but cops,
better than I've seen here.
I'd like a cop that I know could say, take an old 21-inch television, set up a flight of stairs. I just as a test, because if they're going to serve and protect, I know they can serve, but it's very hard for them to protect with that weight going for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend is San Jose PD, and he's been on SWAT before and all that stuff. He's 6'2". I'm 6'4". He's 6'2", and he's thinner than me. And yeah, he runs after some of these guys and he will mess around with them. He's saying, I'm catching up to you. I'm like 5 feet behind you, because they don't think that they'll be chased, some of these guys. And he'll just run, and he'll be talking to them while he's chasing them.
Yeah.
He'll grab them.
But I mean, they aren't terribly fit. I mean, we used to have somebody on this program who worked as a rent-a-cop or whatever that thing was he did. And he certainly wasn't in great shape, you know?
Yeah. But they don't take physicals or anything, I guess, right?
I guess not. I mean, I have to admit that there's probably a lot of lax time, and so you're eating donuts and sitting in coffee shops. You know, I often wondered about that one. I mean, come on, you know, when I go to work, I'm expected to do my job. All right, I'm not expected to go to a donut shop and sit there eating donuts all afternoon. Right? So. Do I have a right to complain as a person who is paying for them? Okay, I think I have a right to complain.
Guess they don't have to run after you. They just shoot you.
Huh? Yeah.
They don't have to run after you. They just shoot you.
Well, I was going to go over to them and say, hey, don't you think you should be wearing masks? I mean, after all, you're the police. You're supposed to give people tickets for not wearing them. Okay? But then I figured, I'm not black, but they probably still shoot me. So, you know, I wasn't going to take the chance on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what about the old man? Remember they pushed the old man backwards and he hit his head on the...
Yeah.
That could have been you.
I've been thinking about buying a T-shirt, though, that simply reads, and, you know, and hope that some people will read it, that simply will read, I wear a mask because I believe Black Lives Matter. You know? Yeah. Or Black Lives Matter, that's why I wear a mask. That'd be another way of doing it. Because I can't see why these people aren't wearing masks, you know? I mean, come on, you're protecting other people. I don't want to give that lecture again. Hello, Brian Ludwig. You're Brian with an L. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, but... and today I got a hold of Rob Alfano. See why he hasn't called in a couple of weeks. He says, I'm just tired of talking about this stuff. He said, I am just so fed up. He said, I just want to keep my mind sane. So I just don't want to even talk about it. And I understood that because, and I read the note to Marjorie, and she says, I feel the same way. I'm sick and tired of tuning into MSNBC and being besieged with all this, you know? I mean, I suppose now is not the time to get fatigued. Hopefully we're down to the home stretch. God, I just, you know.
Good hope.
What was it? Somebody who just sighed? Yes, Frank.
Frank Chu.
Frank Chu.
Yeah, Chu.
John Larkin.
They say that's how fascism starts to creep in, is when everybody just gets so exhausted, they just tune out, and next thing you know, we got fucking some guy with looks like an orangutan running the country.
But the question is, what should you care more about, your own sanity or the country?
Sanity's overrated.
Sanity is overrated, right?
The good of the many outweigh the good of the few.
Yeah.
Gotta find a way to stand up and fight, I guess.
Well, I don't know. You know, it's
not that I know.
It's getting a little frustrating. I mean, this woman, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, wasn't dead. I don't think the van picked her up to take her to the morgue. Okay,
No.
That's how fast Mitch McConnell was on the job with this whole thing.
Well,
You mean Republican politicians who don't uphold their word?
Yeah, and then
I'm shocked.
and then saying we now have enough Republican votes to vote in the next Supreme Court justice, and you think to yourself, wait a minute, they haven't even announced who that person will be. I mean, if suddenly he said it's going to be Vladimir Putin, are they going to vote for him automatically because Mitch McConnell said they were going to vote for him automatically? Yes, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here comes the second half of what I was going to say, the part that many of you are probably not going to like, but I'm going to say it anyway. what pisses me off even more are the Democrats who just hold on to the end of the table, point their asses up into the air, and say, "Okay, Mitch, fuck me hard."
Well, who says that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any Democrats who've said that.
I would. Go ahead.
What?
I would say I think the Democrats are just they're playing it the right way, because there's no way they can block this guy. They're gonna have their Supreme Court person, but let the fucking.
There are ways they can block him.
Well, forget about blocking him. There's a better.
Let them have it.
There's a better idea.
They're gonna hang themselves because if they go and fucking knock down the
Affordable
Care Act, and then fucking roll back Roe, there won't be a fucking Republican left.
Let me for a moment give you the better scenario, the one that will make you feel happy. Okay.
I hope so.
There is no law as to how many people you can have on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Okay. And all that happens is we make sure we load the Senate, load the Congress, and have a president who's a Democrat, right? Who's a liberal. And then he simply says, I'm going to expand the Supreme Court to 11. Okay? And then they all go, okay, let's put it to a vote in the Senate. And of course, everybody will vote yes. And then you put on that's how we can overcome this deficit.
I say 13, and I have a reason for that.
Well, 13 might be a better idea, but I'm just giving you an example of what he could do.
That's why it could be symbolic. We have 13 lower appellate courts that are directly beneath the Supreme Court. There go, 13 justices on the Supreme Court.
Okay, it's
Plus
fair.
it would give us 7-6 majority.
Yeah. Yes, John.
And then they admit D.C. and Puerto Rico as states. Get 4 more senators, because D.C. has more fucking people living there than Wyoming does.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you thinking of Puerto Rico? There's Virgin Islands. There's 6 U.S. territories. Put it up to a vote for all 6 of them.
Yeah. But the point is that this isn't a lost cause, but it means that we have to get I think we're going to take the Senate. I think that definitely the Republicans are out in the Senate.
Christ we do.
Huh?
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope the fuck Christ you're right.
Yeah. And if that happens and Biden becomes president, we can do anything we goddamn please to correct the situation. Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, I think, especially if they go ahead and appoint the Supreme Court justice, we'll definitely win the Senate, because then I think even Lindsey Graham would lose. I mean, because of the hypocrisy.
Well, it looks like he's losing anyway.
Yeah.
That's why he's kind of
seat.
What?
I said I'd love to see that closet queen lose his seat. That would make my dick so hard.
Oh. Lindsey
Graham.
Yeah.
But the way that they can actually block it is that if they were to impeach William Barr, who's done all kinds of illegal things as Attorney General, that would, by law, by the Constitution, the Republicans can't do anything except handle the impeachment. That means they cannot appoint another Supreme Court justice while the impeachment is going on.
Look how long it took us to get an impeachment going before, even with Trump. So how long is it going to take to get a Barr impeachment going? And I don't think it's going to be in time. I think that they are going to put in this. I think it's this woman. She's had 7 children, which to me is purely selfish, because that takes up a lot of parking spaces. I mean, any amount of children you have over 2, we know you are actually killing one child somewhere else on the face of the earth, because it's just part of the equation. And that's very selfish to have 7 kids. Why? Because you're Catholic and you don't believe in birth control? Then just sew up your pussy and forget it.
Don't forget the guys, too. I think there should be a tax write-off for people who decide to render themselves sterile.
Well, listen, yeah. What were you saying?
$2,000 write-off.
A $2,000 write-off? Sure.
That's how much it costs to raise a child 0 to 8.
What we do in this country is we encourage people to have children, by giving a tax rebate and tax incentives for more kids. And I'm going, you should start charging them an extra tax for every child over 2 that they have.
That's because it's selfless, Alex. It's treasure chests for the politicians to rob. That's what children are to them. Just treasure chests for them to fucking rape and loot and plunder. Yeah. That's all we are to these fucking people, these sociopaths. Yeah.
What is that you're wearing? Is that... Are you doing community service somewhere?
At work, we wear vests, and I've worn this in the past. I'm surprised you've noticed it now. In the past years, since I started on this program 3 years ago, I've been wearing stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
But
you're in a nice lighting now. We can actually see you.
Yeah.
Usually you're hidden behind a lamp, and you look like a mystery guy.
Yeah.
Mr. What?
Like a mystery guy, on one of those TV shows.
But I don't know about you, but I'm just sick and tired of all this. I'm just exhausted, Yes, Robert.
All right, so I want to go back to that point. Tonight, somebody that my wife and I used to work with posted some idiocy on Facebook, something that Chuck Woolery said about all Democrats, essentially all Democrats being socialists and all kinds of crap that just made no sense. Mm-hmm. And our first reaction was, Chuck fucking Woolery? Are you serious?
Right.
But here's the problem. The problem is my wife read it out loud. I got incensed. She got incensed. But then her reaction was, well, let's just leave it go. Let's not say anything. Let's not get involved. That's part of the problem. For years, liberals have kept their mouths shut. And it's the people with the badass kinds of thinking that never shut up. I think it's about time people on the left side of the equation speak their mind, and loud and long.
Well, the trouble is with the people who are on the left. I will agree with Brian on the point that they don't seem to have a great backbone. They want to be very civil about all these things. And I think when you're dealing with people who aren't civil, you should get down and dirty, and I think you should also scare the crap out of them. That's why for years when people call up and say, oh, you're a liberal, I go, no, I'm not. I'm a leftist. Because that sounds worse, And if somebody called up and started railing against socialism, I'd say, I'm a socialist. Because we got to scare them. I think it's time to scare them. I think it's time for us to be everything that Trump portrays us as being.
And because people on the right do so much yapping, they've actually taken the term liberal and they've made it into what they have defined it to be. Mm-hmm. I'm sick and tired of people saying to me, oh, you must be a libtard or, or a liberal or this and that. And I say, why is it that you, not being liberal, get to define what being liberal is to a liberal? It just doesn't make sense. But yet that's happened. They've controlled the message and they've made liberal a curse word. And that, in a way, kudos to them for having done that.
Mm-hmm. Brian?
Let's say right back to Rob. I see where you're coming from, and I pretty much agree. My only, maybe there's a difference of opinion here, but I'm of the fight fire with fire philosophy. So if I'm going to be called a libtard, I'm going to call them right back a Republican, Bat the ball right back in their corner.
Yeah, but then you're just calling names. I want to scare the crap out of them. Hey,
that too.
Hey, I just came back from what? I just came back from my Antifa meeting. Because we meet once a week down here in Harlem at a community center, and we plot blowing things up. Is what we do.
Thousands of us.
They pose as cupcakes.
I wish there was Antifa because I would go to the meetings, right? But there is no, and there are no Antifa meetings. There's no Antifa leader. So quite frankly, I am now going to pronounce myself the leader of Antifa. Okay?
There's no organized apparatus.
Cool.
There's no organized apparatus, unlike right-wing organizations.
Well, no,
the
the head of one of the big guys at Homeland Security before the I think Congress last week said that Antifa was not a movement. Antifa was a philosophy. The movement they're worried about are the white supremacists in this country who are very dangerous. But Antifa is not a organization. It is not a movement. It is a philosophy.
My friend posted a picture of guys getting off boats on D-Day and saying the original Antifa meeting.
Yeah,
exactly. And what's wrong with being anti-fascist?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. You know, I mean, I'm not too hot for fascists. I don't think any of you are. So
no, I'm an anti-fascist.
Yeah,
I think we could all say we're all Antifa.
What?
I think we could say we're all Antifa.
Yeah.
Well, I take it a step further. I've been saying it for years. I'm anti-bully. I'm anti-bully. I have a mild psychotic hatred for bullies. I've said that for years.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so who knows? You know, I mean, I'm sick of that, and I'm sick. I'm really sick of the fact that, you know, a great woman dies. I mean, and truly a great woman. I mean, she in her lifetime did exemplary things. Okay, and yes, was a badass. She was a bit of a troublemaker, you know, and just a wonderful, wonderful woman who a lot of young girls, for instance, are growing up to look at as a role model. Okay,
absolutely.
So it's really wonderful what she did, and she deserved a send-off that was decent. Not the fact that her body's going to be lying in state under the rotunda in the Capitol at the same time that Trump is going to announce her replacement. I mean, come on. Can't you wait? Now, here's the good news, folks, and this is something you can take to the bank. And if any of you are Trump followers, and I think there's one of you out there who is, you know who you are. The fact of the matter is that if Trump was going to win this election, and the Republicans were sure he was going to win this election, they wouldn't be rushing this nomination because they wouldn't care. They say, okay, well, let's wait for him to get elected and then he can do it. Okay? Yeah. But no, they don't think he's going to get elected, and that's why they want to do it right now.
Yep.
You know?
They got a big dick as swollen as a fucking bruised kielbasa, and they can't wait to jam it up our ass before they leave the door.
Well, listen, you know, who knows what the hell they're going to do if he doesn't win, what they're going to do between the time he loses and the time the inauguration takes place. Because he can still write executive orders, and he can do all kinds of things, you know? Uh-huh. And now we're going to have this woman with her distended pussy because of 7 children being pounded out of that thing. Oh, God, I can't.
She's only 48. She could be around for 40 years.
I mean, Kegel isn't even in her dictionary, okay?
What are you talking about? Who's this?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
This, I don't know what her name is. She got 3 names.
Cuban-American woman.
He just walked out.
The one that's
Forget her name now.
The People of Praise organization lady. She's from that thing, People of Praise. They called their philosophy is that the men should be the leader of the soul family, and the women are called handmaidens. But they changed the name after the movie came out. I mean, the book and the movie came out.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale. Yeah. Well,
who you can bet your sweet ass is given a loyalty test right now by Trump. That if I get trouble in this election and lose, and I bring appeals to the Supreme Court, there are certain ways you need to vote.
You
did it with Comey.
Yeah, but you know what you can do? You can lie.
Sure.
As long as the day is long to him, and then when push comes to shove, you vote against him.
Cold comfort, though, that we're banking on that.
Well, I don't know. Here's the question. I mean, yes, we know he's going to take it to the Supreme Court if it's close. If it's not close, let's say it's a rout, and I think there's a good chance it could be a rout. They say that there are more people voting in advance now than have ever voted in advance, and they are saying we will have probably the largest turnout this country has ever seen for an election. If that's the case, it's not Trump's people that are rushing to the polls. It's people like you and I who are against Trump and want to see this guy tossed out on his ear. So it could be an amazing route, all right? However, he's still going to take it to the Supreme Court. He's still going to file and say, it was all those mail-in ballots. They fixed the election. I don't know if guys like Roberts will put up with that. There are certain people who still have principles on the court. Even what was his name? The first guy that Trump put in there. Yeah. Gorsuch. He has a tendency to try and be fair about things. So I don't know if he's going to find solace with the Supreme Court if it's a real rout, And nobody says you can't use mail-in voting. There's nothing in the Constitution that says all votes must be cast at polls. It's, in fact,
especially since Trump's going to vote by mail.
Every state can dictate how the elections are held. That's their job. I'll tell you, there's a great documentary on Amazon. If any of you have Amazon, I can't remember the name of it right now. But it is all about how the government, the elections are pretty much rigged, and talking about things like gerrymandering and all the various ways it's about the ways certain people deny people the right to vote.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Here's the best one. Down in Florida, they said that ex-convicts could vote again, got the right to vote again, because up until recently they couldn't vote, all right, because they were convicted of a felony. They allowed anybody who wasn't convicted of a violent crime for being able to go back to vote, which would put about something like 17,000 people on the rolls or something like that. Well, it seems as though they passed another law in Florida. It said, well, if you owe fines and you haven't paid them, you can't get the right to vote back till you pay them. So guess what's happening? Michael Bloomberg is going down to Florida, and for everyone who's had their right to vote taken away from them because they didn't pay the fine or didn't pay restitution and certain things, he has a whole fund to fund 17,000 prisoners so they can get their vote back.
I'm guessing DeSantis is Pecker.
Let's all hear it for Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah, I'll give him credit.
For him.
That's good.
I'll give him that much credit.
I mean, to even think of that was genius.
And it's in Florida.
And
too.
that amount of people is the difference between the winner of the gubernatorial election in Florida and the loser. Okay? So 17,000 votes is significant, and he thinks he can even get more votes liberated. Yes, Brian Ludwig.
I was going to say, I just love to see the camera. Aside from that remark I made about his swollen, DeSantis' right, that's his name, DeSantis' swollen pecker and how he can't wait to fuck them up the ass. I'd love to see the camera pan to his face as if Biden wins, if the opposition wins, and I love to see his facial expression if Florida does turn blue. Just, the moment it does, the moment it's called, I'd love to see just his reaction. All the efforts he made have just gone to shit, and he can go fuck himself to splinter into a 2x4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep that up. I'm going to be demonetized tonight.
So my bottom is in a lot of pain.
That's what Patreon's for.
Oh, the $15?
Well, that's what's for?
That's what Patreon is for.
What is Patreon?
It's it's something you can subscribe to, and to make a long story short, People pay a month, let's say like $5 a month, and the proceeds go to you or your organization, whatever you have for this.
Yeah, like if you're offering something like lessons on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
Or you have you can do merchandising too, coffee mug or something.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on a platform that nobody watches.
Then why should you worry about monetization then if nobody's watching it?
No. Patreon.
No. You can still do it on this.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You just say go to my Patreon page to pay me something. If you like.
There's another one like Patreon. I think it's called BitChute or something. It's a competitor, but it's not as well known. And I may be messing up the name, but look that up as well. But as far as using that as a vehicle for saying what you really want to say and not having to worry about getting your money.
Well, I will defend your right to say what you. I will defend the right to what you want to say. However, I don't think that the use of telling people about their appendages going up people's other orifices is necessarily something that I feel I have to go out and defend. I've got better things to defend, like your right to really complain about this government.
I can't wait till you appeal this one, and the guy has to listen to the show.
Here's what you do: tell him it's nonprofit, that all proceeds go to Antifa.
You know what they do?
There you go.
They constantly, almost every night, at least on the live version that goes up, they say it can't be monetized. So then I have to appeal it, and almost every time I win the appeal. They say, "Oh yes, congratulations!" And I'm thinking to myself, why do you do this every night if you know that every night you're going to have to listen to the damn thing and you're going to come to a different decision than your little machine automatically made, So.
The ringing endorsement for the breaking up of big tech.
How you doing, Tony? Tony's been quiet tonight. I'd like to hear what you're thinking about stuff.
I'm really excited for the debate. And Alex, I'm not going to say his name, but I kind of miss the other guy not calling and arguing with you anymore.
Well, I don't.
But I tell you, I think you're going to get your wish. I can't see Trump winning. I just can't see it.
Neither can I.
If it happens, oh man, I mean,
if it wasn't for this pandemic, I would say, Trump's likely going to win. But because of the way he handled this COVID thing, I think it's gonna be the nail in his coffin.
I mean, can every poll be really wrong? I just find this hard to believe. Now.
Well, the polls also this time are adjusting for the mistakes they made the last time too. Yeah. Yes.
Two quick things. One, Nate Silver has Biden's 77% chance of winning to Trump's 23%.
Wow.
And
Nate Silver is almost always right.
Oh yeah, and tonight, MSNBC is reporting that they have evidence that the CDC was told to downplay the severity of the COVID crisis in the meat plants back in March and April.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
They changed their recommendations. They whitewashed them. Instead of being like, oh, just consider wearing masks, or, if somebody's sick, maybe they shouldn't show up at work if possible, like that. Instead of saying, if somebody's sick, don't let them come to work, Right. Make sure all the employees wear masks.
They were trying to downplay it.
Make no mistake about it, to people listening to me right now. I hate wearing a mask, okay? I'm trying to walk. It's harder to breathe. I get lightheaded from wearing the mask. I don't like wearing the mask, but I do. Okay. Number one, not for me, for you. And you should be wearing it for me. When you're not wearing a mask, you're insulting me. How dare you? And I saw somebody walk by, an old lady, really old lady. I mean, if she gets COVID, she's gone. All right. I mean, me might be, but she was old, and guy walks by her, no mask. And I'm thinking, does he even think to himself, I could kill that woman?
That bothers me to no end.
This is a matter. This is something you've got to learn. We are a community, and we got to watch out for each other. And these people
That's anti-American rhetoric there, though.
Huh?
That's anti-American rhetoric, though, there, Alex.
Well, you know,
it's just building selfishness.
If we've lost that ability, we've lost everything. We've lost America. You know, who was it? The guy who just wrote the book about Trump, Bob Woodward. Said tonight, he was quoted. I looked on.
We should have published it like 3 months prior. But,
well, he couldn't do that because number one, he wasn't finished interviewing him. That's for starters. And secondly, he had to write the book and get all this stuff together in some kind of a real important way. And I think it was just as good if he did it now because it's closer to the election. If he had done it earlier, some people would have forgotten it by now, you know. But you know, he said very simply, he said, in the future, they're going to look back at this time and say, what the fuck happened to America?
I hope. Or we could be prepping ourselves for a worse version of Trump in 4 or 8 years from now.
What?
I said, or alternatively, given the short attention spans that us Americans have collectively, comparable to that of fruit flies, we could be looking at a worse version of Trump 4 or 8 years down the road.
Well, that's always possible because Trump saw how you can rally a certain amount of people to your side. But remember always that he did not win the election in population numbers. He only got it by playing the ground game with the Electoral College.
And aside from a handful of states changing that rule, aside from a handful of inconsequential states changing that rule of popular vote versus electoral vote, the game can pretty much still be played.
Well, a lot of states have a new rule, and that rule is our electors will go to Washington and vote for whoever got the popular vote in the country. And they're about,
I don't think enough have done this.
No, a lot of states have done it. About, I think 16 states have done it, something like that.
I think it's like 15 have done it already.
Yeah. So if more states would do that,
really, so if your state loses, but the popular vote, they would still go to.
In other words, a state that, for instance, had this rule in place when Trump won in their state, they would still send the electors to Washington to vote for the person who won the popular vote.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
What states do that?
About 15, 16.
California is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think they have a name for it, and I can't remember what the name is for that way of doing it. But that makes a lot of sense.
I think so.
You know, and that way we can get around the whole electoral college. I mean, we should just do away with it. You know,
the electoral college is so antiquated. It worked in 1790, but
no, it worked when you didn't have the communication in place that you could get these results. Yeah. So what you got is you put a guy on a horse or a train and you send him from wherever out in the middle of nowhere to Washington, D.C., where he got together with a bunch of other people and he really brought the votes from his state. And that's how the Electoral College existed. They
were originally appointed. They weren't voted in by the people. They were appointed.
They were appointed, yeah. And by the way, an elector does not have to go to Washington, D.C. on the day when the electors meet, when the Electoral College meets. They do not necessarily have to vote for the person they're pledged to vote for.
Right.
There's nothing. They could go to. He could go because Trump won in his state, and he's supposed to say Trump, and he goes Biden. And there's nothing they can do about it. Yes,
the Electoral College was established because the smaller states in the original United States were afraid that Massachusetts and Virginia would, because of their gross population compared to other states, dominate each and every election. So there was at least some thinking behind the idea of the electoral college.
But the question is, how do we come up with the number of electors in a state?
Well, they came up with it based on the number of senators and representatives.
And the the southern states got 3/5 a person for all the slaves that they owned.
Right.
But the slaves never got the fucking vote.
Right.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. That because of that, you can have a state that has a small population that proportionately to a state with a large population like New York still has more clout than it should have.
Yes.
Because it's guaranteed at least 2 electoral votes, no matter what its population is.
I've said it here before. 18% of the population controls 52% of the Senate. Just stop and roll that around for a minute. 18% of the population controls 52% of the Senate.
Wow.
Wow. You can't spell control without, or you can't say control without you saying the word troll.
No, I thought you were going to say without saying the word. Well, anyway.
Well,
I was going there too.
Yeah. You're getting soft, Brian.
Your mind's dirtier than mine is now. Dirty old man.
I just to change the subject for a second, because how's your mother doing, Tony?
Yes.
She's driving me crazy tonight.
She's driving me crazy. Every time I talk to you, you say she's driving me crazy.
You know what she's doing now? She's getting a little. At night, she gets a little cranky. So you know what? I was on the computer trying to write some stuff from a hobby group, and she's sitting on the couch, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, "Why don't you go to bed, Alex? It's 9:30." So she sits there, and then she don't even want to watch TV. All right, I'm going to go to sleep. So she wants to sleep on the couch. The couch doesn't even pull out. Oh, no. I hear her. I gave her 2 Tylenol PMs. They still didn't knock her out.
Morphine.
I'm telling you. Because at night she gets... I even took her out.
Let me just give you a hint.
Whisper so she doesn't hear me.
Give you a hint, Tony. How old is she now?
She just turned 80.
She just turned 80. She's my age. Yeah.
Yeah, but Alex...
Would I find her hot? Would I find her hot?
No, she's a small woman. I'm gonna pimp her off to an old guy. You know what it is? She's stuck in her ways. She does it like it's 1960. She doesn't care about what's going on. She's still like,
I know this is a wrong thing to say, Tony. Wrong thing to say. Is she tight?
No, she doesn't. With money, yeah.
Okay, well,
with money. Like the other day, we're in the supermarket, so I said, "Mom, she wants chicken cutlets." All right, we'll buy chicken cutlets, right? I think they were like $5.99 a pound to put them back. No, I'm not going all the way to put them back for $5.99 a pound. Get the breast. Don't worry about it. We can put them in the oven the same way. So I bought both of them. Oh, why'd you buy both of them? Because then when I go home, you're going to be asking for the chicken cutlets. Oh, she's got to pee now. Now I got to get up again. I got to help her.
I have a question though for Tony.
I don't know how she doesn't sleep with 2 PMs an hour ago.
You know, I'm telling you, at her age, she won't know the difference. Give her heroin.
Morphine.
I may take it soon.
Morphine, you know.
That too. Okay.
She's wearing it. At night, I stay up all night, and she walks by the room.
We do this, by the way, during a political discussion for comedy relief. You know, it's just a light moment when we can ask Tony, "How's your mom?"
God.
You know, and then he has to leave because she has to go pee.
Because I got to maneuver her into the bathroom, but she can do it. But she likes when I'm there watching her go in. Look,
you know something? You know something? I think that you're being too nice to her. I think if she has to be self-sufficient.
That's what my sister said.
And if she can't get to the bathroom fast enough on her own, let her pee all over herself. Okay?
Gotta clean it up.
Hold on.
Well, there we go.
I hereby make a motion.
Don't forget the bucket. What?
I hereby make a motion that Tony's mother be nominated as the honorary vice president of Antifa.
Okay, that's good.
All in favor, say aye.
That's good. That's
good. I was thinking of a different solution for her sleeping issues, like something that wouldn't land you in jail. This is my question, Tony. Have you used the IV route, but instead of using heroin or some morphine or some shit, just fill that shit up with NyQuil, you know?
NyQuil.
Inject it into her veins.
No. It's sounds like something Trump would do, you know. Anyway,
and Alex, you could change GabNet also. Great Antifa broadcasting.
Yes.
There you go. Undercover.
Great Antifa broadcast. Very good.
Right.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Let's do it the April Fool's Day or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could tell people it was always that.
Yeah, undercover.
In a way, it
Code.
was.
The secret code.
You know, I have been put in the middle of a whole conundrum with health insurance because of this whole thing with my union. Now, granted, I'm lucky because Marjorie's still working and her company will pay for it for the time being. But when they don't, I'll have to, well, for myself personally, have to shell out $450 a month for health insurance. You know, if I want to get most of the stuff I'm getting now. And I go, that's ridiculous. You know, I mean, that anybody, especially at my age, should have to put out that kind of money to make sure I don't die. Would you, Jeff just gave me a nodded yes, right?
Oh yeah, I'm paying it, whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's
expensive.
And it's expensive,
Yeah.
you know. Luckily, you know, but I don't want Marjorie to have to work forever just because we need the health insurance, you know. And I think about people in this country who are hit with this conundrum. Now, you can get, by taking advantage plans, you can get almost, you can get your insurance for almost nothing. But you have to pay a lot of co-pays and things like that. And by the time you're through, you're going to wind up paying $400 a month, you know, anyway. So you got to take the other plan, in which there are no co-pays. But I mean, it's just, I'm thinking to myself, what kind of country do we live in? I mean, we're the only civilized country, only industrialized nation in the world that even has to ask this question. And anytime you bring it up, like with Obamacare, which is a rather flimsy plan, okay,
Yes.
but it was the best we could come up with and get passed, that we have that kind of system, and we don't have any kind of a net for people, and that it's always, oh, we can't have, what do you want? You want socialized medicine in this country? Look at it in other countries.
Yes.
Yeah. What, like, would you want to point to a country where it's terrible, where people are dying because their health system sucks? I'll tell you one where they die because their health system sucks.
Yeah.
Right here. I wasn't pointing at my penis. Right here, you know.
So somebody was going to get it up the ass again.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Brian Ludwig, and then Jeff after that.
I was just going to say, first of all, when speaking of this country in relation to or disrelation to healthcare and other neoliberal and neo-fascist, aspects, I always make it a point to spell it without the O in country. And secondly, a meme that's been making the rounds regarding healthcare and the ridiculousness of it, and people like Mitch McConnell, the Turtle Boy. The meme reads, "Now, if I die as a result of this asshole taking away my flimsy Obamacare, do me a favor and take my corpse, put it into a catapult, and launch me into that motherfucker's office, and do that with everybody else.
Yeah,
light it on fire first, but launch me in there."
I mean, it just. I mean, I'm very lucky. I mean, I had this prostate cancer thing, which, quite frankly, is a no-brainer. Okay, and so far as I know, I'm not cured. I mean, nobody's cured until 5 years or something like that. But I got a PSA test, and it was like a 0.02, when a 4 would have been fine. You know, so I mean, obviously, it worked. But it worked after I had to put out, get billed about $110,000 for all the radiation and stuff. But I was very lucky. I had a good health plan. I did have to do co-pays. I paid about $1,100 in co-pays this year. Okay. But nevertheless, I was very lucky. People out there aren't as lucky. I mean, what do you do if you can't pay that other 20% that Medicare doesn't pay? Yes, Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, the solution is to go to another country. Because I was in Australia one time, and I had to go and have my medications tested, take some blood, and no big deal, right? They said, no, just come into the hospital and they'll take care of you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, in other countries.
How much will it cost? Nothing.
Yeah.
We don't charge anybody for
Well,
these
in
things.
England, if you're a foreigner and you get sick, it's not like they send you over to the foreigners' hospital where they have a cashier. Well, they send you to a normal hospital and say, okay, and then when you go, well, where do I pay? They go, no, you don't pay. We don't have a cashier here. We don't have a place where you check out and show them your credit card. But we took care of you because you're a guest in our country. How good is that? So it's amazing. And if we had somebody else here who was like a trumpet, they would probably be saying, oh yeah, but it's inferior medical care. Yeah,
that's bullshit.
That's bullshit. One of the best hospitals in the world is the Pasteur Institute in France. Okay, and hospitals here have to worry about every penny that they charge, and then you've got insurance companies. I mean, the insurance companies. What is the problem? There was a time when they weren't allowed to be profit making, and nobody even. So you have hospital insurance? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I have it at work. They gave it to me. Today they don't give it to you at work. It's available to you if you want to pay. I think I was paying $300 a month for it at Sirius XM. But in the old days, I mean, it was cheap as hell because they didn't have to make a profit. They weren't sitting there on their haunches like vultures waiting for people to get sick so they could make a buck. And every year the prices on insurance goes up. There's nobody there controlling it. It's got to stop. I mean, it's just horrible. And it is indicative of what we are as a people. We just don't care about each other. Getting back to what Brian said earlier, So, well, I certainly put a damper on the proceedings, didn't I?
Yeah, thank you.
So when we get back to this whole thing with the Supreme Court justice and so on, what's coming up is the question of Obamacare, which has been struck down any number of times, I mean, even once by John Roberts, that it's fine. There's nothing wrong with Obamacare, with the Affordable Care Act, and with you having to have some kind of insurance. But damn it, it may go down to defeat because of the way he's packed the court. And that's why we care about this appointment, because this decision, the arguments are going to happen in the beginning of, I think, is it October or November that they're going to, huh?
I think it's right after the election.
Right after the election, they're going to go to the Supreme Court and argue this.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a court there that even if he gets defeated, is not going to vote in our favor.
Yeah.
Yes, Robert.
Which brings me to my favorite answer to Trumpites lately. When they start talking about Trump promising a vaccine in October, my answer is, hey, October's next week. Go get online and wait. Get there now and wait.
Well,
and let me know how you make out.
If you want yet another argument about Trump, he's going to give us a vaccine in October. He hasn't even given us a plan to replace Obamacare. For how long? How many years has he been saying, next week I'm going to come out with a plan that's so much better than Obamacare you won't believe it? Have we yet to even see an inkling of that plan? No.
Bullshitter. He's a horrible bullshitter. What I can't believe is all his supporters. Why can't they see that? It's so obvious. He's just a fucking horrible car salesman.
They won't change their mind over anything.
They're made for the other blinds their judgment.
What were you going to say, Brian Neary?
Oh, I just said Trumpers will not change their mind no matter what. Right. More bad things, stupid stuff every day he says, promises he breaks.
There's no bottom.
He is the candidate of stupid people. What can I say?
The cult leader.
Huh?
He's the cult leader. He's like Jim Jones.
Well, I mean, the thing that's amazing to me is that any of these people who are really, let's say, I don't think they've got a full set of teeth among them. Although, who am I to complain, because I've got a hole back here, but which I'm getting filled in a week or so. It's going to cost me a fortune to have the implant put in. But I mean, basically he is the candidate and the preferential candidate of morons.
Yeah.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I was just going to minorly disagree with Mr. Frank Chu there, and saying that at least
his name isn't Frank Chu, it's John Larkin, but he always.
Okay, John Larkin. At least Jim Jones had the decency to try to kill his followers off. At least he did that.
That's true.
Won't even do that.
And kill himself with them.
Yeah.
I wish he would. God fucking did. I wish he would.
I have a Jim Jones experience. When I was in high school, Alex, you remember Winterland?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever go there? Concerts there?
I've never went to Winterland for concerts. However, I was there when the Ice Follies used to play there, and my father played violin in the orchestra.
That's funny.
But anyway,
well, Jim Jones, they had the People's Temple Church was just on the other side of Gary there.
Right.
When I was a kid, I'd go see rock concerts there, and they would come over there passing out flyers, for to come over there and check him out.
At the concerts, did they serve Kool-Aid? I'm just curious.
I never went to any of the churches though, but I wish I would have kept one of those flyers that they used to pass out.
But there's so many things hanging on this Supreme Court appointment, and it looks like it's going to happen. Unless there are some Republicans we don't know about who are going to say
no.
No. It's just amazing to me that they're so in lockstep that McConnell can say, well, we're going to take a vote on it, and whoever Trump wants is going to pass. And they don't even know who it's going to be.
No, but they say they got the votes. How about that?
I'm nominating Adolf Hitler for the Supreme Court. Yeah. Okay, we vote yes.
Yeah.
Don't matter.
I mean, it's like, I don't think there's even going to be a question of I don't know if they're even going to listen to her. I don't know if they're even going to have a hearing.
Yeah.
They have to have a hearing?
We have had our democracy ripped away from us, stolen from us by a bunch of, dare I say, fascists.
Yeah.
But
payback's a motherfucker.
Happened 4 years ago.
What?
Payback's a motherfucker, though.
Well, I hope. See, what I want is a defeat that is so brutal that it is going to make Trump feel like crap.
Yeah.
So he will feel he has been totally defeated. I don't want some kind of wishy-washy thing. I want something where he is just defeated so badly that, because we know where his ego is and we know how his ego works, and his ego will not take a terrible defeat. Okay? I want him to feel the sting of that for all that he's done to us in the last 4 years. Shame on him. He took a once great nation and turned it into a piece of crap. Yeah. Shame on him.
He is, yeah. It's horrible.
And I wish we had somebody here, and I want to say to people who are on the right, or might be for Trump, you're always welcome to call this program. And you're going to be treated decently, because we treat everybody decently. We may disagree with you. We may even get in some fights with you. But we will let you say what you have to say and not be silenced in what you have to say. Provided, and this is the only provision, you treat all the rest of these people with the same respect. And that's the important factor in disagreeing. But I would love to hear from some people who are on the other side, because I don't want this to be like MSNBC, where everybody is just hammering home the same story over and over and over again. There are enough of us here that believe on the Biden side, like to hear a few people who are on the other side. Because when we're sitting here making assumptions who you are, and we assume you're morons, okay, we don't want to assume that. We would like a really intelligent Trump person to call the program. I may be asking for too much, but...
Isn't that an oxymoron? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But,
couldn't help
but you know,
I tried to call somebody today
yeah.
to see if they would be interested.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a hold of them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I would just like to have some, you know, I just want to encourage people who are watching or listening and say, oh, those guys, they're so terrible. They're just Trump bashers, blah, blah, blah. Call. Not now. We're almost over with. But plan on calling tomorrow night, for instance, you know. Call this show because we love to discuss these things. Mondays, don't call because that's just a nice bunch of people having a nice time. Okay, it's an entirely different animal, huh? What'd you say?
No, nothing. Nice people over there.
Well, you're there.
No, not always. No,
not always.
Am I allowed to call on Monday?
Hmm?
Am I allowed to call on Mondays?
No.
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 Nice people, Brian. We're not allowed.
No, Brian, Brian, because you know you would be. It's a nice. Am I right, Brian Neary? You know what I'm talking.
Marjorie's on, so we got to be nice.
Marjorie's on, and Shecky calls. You know, it's a lighter kind of show. You know.
Hey, Bloomberg, $16 million he raised for the Florida felons. $16 million.
Well, he should be able to pay all their fines and all the stuff they owe, so that they can get out and vote. I think that's brilliant of Bloomberg. Just brilliant of him.
It'd be nice to have that kind of money.
He's not going to spend it on campaign, so...
Well, he has to be careful, though, because I don't think he can take it out of his own pocket. He can only give so much to a campaign. But you know, if he creates a PAC or something, I think he can throw all the money into that.
Yeah, he's not giving it to the campaign. He's spending it himself. So, you know, that's the law. That Supreme Court ruling said that you can spend all the money you want if you know... You just can't give it to the campaign.
You can't give it to the campaign. Okay, so he's doing something right. He's going around getting people the right to vote. $16 million would get him a long way, you know. And the state should be happy. They will see all those fines paid. You know,
that's so funny.
So they can't argue against that. Well, let me.
Tickets.
This meeting of Antifa is hereby adjourned.
Yes, we call this meeting of
Antifa Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, the Great Antifa Broadcasting Network. Hey, Charlie.
That's a shirt you need.
Yeah, Charlie, thank you so much, Charlie. Appreciate it. And, of course, Jeff, always a pleasure. Robert, love having you here. Brian, she's not there tonight, huh? She's asleep.
Maybe. I hope so.
Okay. Out like a light, huh?
I hope so.
Yeah. She's a ham. John Larkin, thank you for being here. Brian, always good to see you. And Tony, great to see you here too. Why don't all of you give a nice wave goodbye, and I'll give a wave goodbye back at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. There will be another citizen panel being assembled any moment now over at the intersection with Jack Bishop. And tomorrow night, after, let's see, 8:30, there's a sports program on with the franchise MC. Then at 10:30, I'll be back here, you know, talking to you. And I was serious about if you happen to be a right-winger, we want to have you call the program. We don't want to just monopolize the political conversation, okay? So please call tomorrow night, okay? In the meantime, as always, see you tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her. And also, as always, be safe out there. Wear a mask, okay? For yourself and for your neighbor. Bye, everybody.